Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. New episode of On the Run. You are more welcome, and I'm so pleased to follow me. Viewers everywhere, how are you? Today we have great honor to have His Grace, Justin Walpy, the Archbishop in the world. Yeah.
Archbishop of Canterbury.
Yes, of Canterbury. Yes, you are welcome in Sudan.
Thank you very much indeed.
Yes.
It's very good to be here.
And it's very good and great for us to receive you here in our country in your rare visit. And that's great for us, of course. Okay, I start by under the umbrella of religious coexistence and tolerance that you see in Sudan between Muslims and Christians. Okay, Your Grace, as you are a top of archbishops of Canterbury and the world, of course, okay? How you can play a role to support the religious coexistence and tolerance in Sudan as to realize more stability in such part? Yeah.
I think that's a very good question. I think at the heart of the answer is the issue of respect for each other, which is shown in honesty to one another. In the meetings I've had here, we have been very honest both about where we agree and where we disagree between the faiths. And in all the work I do between faith communities,
Yes.
Christians and Muslims especially, it is really important that we are honest with each other about our differences as well as those things about which we agree. And coexistence is not built on pretending that we're all the same. Coexistence is built on recognizing our difference and learning to live well with the differences. And in Sudan, we see at the grassroots, in many families, in many communities, that they live well with difference, but respect the difference.
Each other. Okay, sure. So if I can shed a light on your visit into South Kordofan state.
Yes.
And in Kadugli, and you have a speech there, okay? And you visit the campaign of refugees and displaced people, okay? And what your role, Your Grace, to find proper reconciliation and realization of peace through negotiations between all targeted sites and to reach a permanent peace agreement? Yeah.
Well, I think I'd want to say two or three things. First, I call most solemnly on all those involved in the fighting to put the people ahead of their personal interests and to seek the good of the people who are suffering from the fighting. I think especially talking to those groups that have been fighting and are now divided among themselves, they must seek reconciliation between themselves. It is their duty to God. Secondly, reconciliation is found in sacrifice, in putting aside one's own interests for the common good of the poor and the weak. And thirdly, reconciliation sometimes needs help. It is the role both of the leaders and the people, but also of those around, those outside, to come alongside people in struggle and to enable them to see how they can make peace. That is at the heart of reconciliation. But there is no reconciliation without having to give something up in order to reach reconciliation.
Okay, sure. And I have two important statements out of your speech that you address people in South Kordofan and Kadugli. I started by the first one. Okay. You hope for peace and reconciliation. Okay. You said, I heard inspiring stories from Christian and Muslim leaders who want peace and who actively working together to achieve it. all people need peace, okay? They understand more than anyone else the cost of war. And we pray that the world rallies behind them, fulfilling the promises of support made.
Yes.
I want more analysis for this.
I think it is clear that many countries are supporting the peace process, particularly in South Sudan, but also in Sudan. But it is very important that every country who promises support and has promised it in the past lives up to their support. Where they have promised money, they must contribute that money. I think the UN, the United Nations, will tell you that although large sums of money were promised, not all has been paid. And those who have not paid must pay. I think it is essential that countries like the United States, which have great influence, use their influence to promote peace and do not neglect this area. They have many things that concern them at the moment, but the hungry and the weak and the poor and the women and the children look to the international community for help and assistance, and it must be given.
Okay. Also concerning those displaced and refugees,
yes.
Okay, you mentioned a point that regards the effort of Sudan, you know, even it is great pressure on people, local people, and the government to welcome more numbers of
yes.
refugees. But you appreciated that, you know, people acquainted, you know,
yep.
and the government support the refugees even over it is pressure. Yeah.
I think one of the most
yes.
impressive things about what the Sudan is doing, one of the most challenging and wonderful things for the rest of the world, is the way that the Sudan has opened its arms and been hospitable to refugees and IDPs. And very poor communities we saw in South Kordofan receiving those who were refugees. And I think that is a wonderful indication of the humanity of the Sudanese people.
Okay.
And very, very important that the world recognizes the sacrifice that Sudan is making for the refugees.
All right. And also you ended by a very hopeful statement for us, and like a wish, that Sudan is a country that could be prosperous and successful.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did,
yes.
and that is what we pray and hope for.
All right.
For the future. Yes.
Okay, sure. So, Your Grace, the newly inaugurated church in Khartoum, it is an independent,
yes.
Okay, Anglican Episcopal, right? Separated from its counterpart in South Sudan,
yes.
in terms of admin-wise and spiritual-wise. And it became the 39 of the communion, right? Okay, how you can see such an independency, okay, from your point of view as a priestly authority and in a frame of Canterbury, what you can expect from this church to do? Yeah.
That's a very good question.
All right.
The nature of the Anglican Communion is we have 39 provinces that are all equal, that are like, to use a picture, like grown-up children in a family. We have a large family, we have a number of children, they're all grown up. When they are children, you have to look after them. When they're grown up, they make their own decisions, but they still belong to one another. So the province of the Sudan is autonomous, it makes its own decisions, it seeks a vision from God to serve God faithfully and to serve the people of the country, but it is part of a great family around the world in which it is equal to the other members and contributes its wisdom, its experience, its knowledge, its thoughtfulness to the whole worldwide Anglican communion.
Okay, sure. Okay, I can tell or ask about your grace, your impressions and outcomes of your visit, focusing on the issues of peace, stability, and social religious coexistence. Yeah.
Well, I think
Yes.
peace and stability is obviously, as has been said by government members,
All right.
not fully achieved, but is better than it has been in the past. And in the meetings we've had, we have urged them to use an expression used by Jesus, to go the extra mile, to go further than merely their duty, but out of love for their country, to be patient with those who are struggling among themselves. That is a difficult thing for a leader to do. But peace is essential. I think peace gives the opportunity for development, for the economy to grow, for the poor to find hope, for the hungry to be fed, for refugees to return home. In terms of religious coexistence, let us be honest with each other. It is never easy. Never has been.
More efforts can be exerted.
We need to keep making an effort. Religious coexistence is not just about big statements. It would be good to live together well. It's true. But it also is about the day-to-day experience of choosing to live together well. And that is, in our country, in every country on earth, that is a challenge.
Okay. So I have 3 statements. You can address some messages, okay? First, to your followers here in Sudan. Yeah.
I think I would want to say again what I said in my sermon on Sunday. Seek wisdom, do not fear, trust in God who will sustain you, and know that we pray for you and remember you and will seek to support you.
Okay. And then for Sudanese people, concerning Muslim and Christians, regard to peace and religious coexistence. Yeah.
I would say make sure that you know people of other religious communities, that you understand them and listen to them, and not just what people tell you about them. And seek the good, the common good for Sudan.
Okay. Okay. Concerning, Your Grace, the Western countries' media talks about Sudan has no religious freedoms and claim that Christians are oppressed in Sudan. Yeah.
We have discussed this a great deal with the government in
Okay,
meetings
sure.
we've had.
Yeah.
And I think what we have all said, I was with a fellow bishop of mine, a fellow colleague bishop of mine from England, who in his area has very large numbers of Muslims living there. He sees it as his role, because they are a minority in his part of the world, to protect and support them with government and with others. And when we seek to do that, we build up relationships. When a mosque was attacked a few weeks ago, I went up to the mosque. It was during Ramadan, and shared an iftar meal with them and sat with them in condolence and sympathy for the attack they had suffered. So what I'd say is seek peace and pursue it. Peace is sometimes something that we have to pursue. And do not let big statements be enough. We need societies in which the little things of life, the ability to build a church with permission, the ability to worship, the ability to express one's belief courteously, politely, gently, reverently, and with respect for the others, is allowed and permitted.
Okay, so finally, I do thank His Grace Justin Wapoli here that you visit Sudan. We do appreciate it, and we have great honor to greet you as all Sudanese people.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And my greetings to all the Sudanese people.
Appreciate it.